Hello everyone and welcome to the Break Run. My name is Frank.
And my name's Kevin, and today we're going to be discussing the recent announcement of the Disneyland Forward project, coming soon to the Disneyland Resort in California.
So Kevin, we got some honestly jaw-dropping and surprising news that Disneyland is going to possibly do a major expansion. Do you plan on expanding both of their parks, Disneyland and Disney's California Adventure, as well as add more hotels, shopping districts, and so much more? So Kevin, give us a breakdown on this.
Sure. So the Disneyland Resort currently consists of 2 theme parks, 3 hotels, and a whole lot of parking lots and parking garages.
Yep.
It's right smack dab in the middle of the city of Anaheim, and unlike Walt Disney World, they are subject to city and zoning laws of Anaheim, whereas Walt Disney World, the Reedy Creek Improvement District through Disney kind of dictates everything that happens. So Disney, whenever they want to build something new, has to go through the city of Anaheim to get the normal approvals that any theme park would in any other place in the world besides Disney World. So Disneyland currently has some parking lot space next to their Paradise Pier Hotel and next to the Disneyland Resort Hotel that they would like to use for expansion of both the Disneyland theme park and the Disney California Adventure theme park.
Yep.
They, however, cannot use this land as expansion space because in the city of Anaheim, those parking lots are zoned as parking lots only. So therefore, you cannot build theme park or attractions on those areas without getting necessary approvals.
Yep.
Disneyland, in this proposal, essentially said to the world, hey everybody, we want to build this if the city of Anaheim will allow us to. So why don't you contact your local city councilor or councilman or woman and say, hey, let Disneyland build that because it'll be great for the local economy. That's what this announcement was about.
Yeah, it's almost like Disney's kind of flexing their muscles, be like, hey, look what we have up our sleeve that we want to do.
Exactly.
And when this first broke, we were like, oh my gosh, is this a brand new park? We're like, well, no, it's expansion. We're like, all right, well, when is it going to happen? Well, it might not happen. And it was like, wait, what do you mean? Why would you announce this if it might not happen?
Yep.
So knowing this bigger picture, why it's happening, it makes sense. Now, I think the bigger question is, I would love to say when this is going to happen, but do you think it even is going to happen? Because the government could say, yeah, well, nope, it's parking lot space, you can't do it. So do you think this will happen?
I think Disney's in a really good position right now because they're right. The local Anaheim economy is really suffering because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I think that Disney being the economic juggernaut that it is for that region, the local government has no reason not to support them with this.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, the only typical gripe you can make is that right next to this area, there is a neighborhood. So some residents in that neighborhood could voice some concerns, and that probably will be Disneyland's biggest challenge.
Yeah.
But Disneyland has to focus on being a good corporate Samaritan to these neighbors in order to make sure that they endorse this expansion.
Yeah.
Which, like you said, if you buy a house near Disneyland, you have to know what you're going to expect.
Exactly.
Right?
You're gonna hear people screaming, parking, honking their horns, whatnot.
Yep. So now part of this was also Disneyland has what's called a Toy Story lot a couple blocks away, and that's used for additional parking on peak days.
Yep.
Disney had bought a motel a couple blocks away and is hoping to build another parking garage on that land. Again, needs permission from the city of Anaheim. But if they can build that parking garage, they would like to turn the Toy Story lot, which is right near the Anaheim Convention Center, into a West Coast version of Disney Springs. Now, we know how successful Disney Springs has been in Florida. What do you think that would mean for California, especially not only being close to Disneyland, but being right next to the Anaheim Convention Center?
I think it's going to be, it's a no-brainer because you're going to have so many people that are going to come down over there for conventions and stuff and just go to Disney Springs, have business meetings. It makes so much sense considering how successful Disney Springs was. I think it brings up the question, what's going to happen with downtown Disney? But I think that just opens Pandora's box on like endless options.
Who knows? Maybe that could be more theme park expansion, right?
Yeah.
So just kind of going back to that theme park expansion.
Yeah.
The way that the concept art showed this was a little interesting. It's almost like this is a separate annex of Disneyland and Disney's California Adventure with their own separate entrances.
Yep.
and a second Esplanade. That's the famous Spartan Disneyland where you can go from side to side or back and forth between the parks. You'd have a second version of that on this expansion area, and there would be a couple new lands within these ones. So Disney said in their announcement, hey, we have some existing lands that are other theme parks across the world that maybe we could bring as part of this expansion. Frank, what do you think about that?
I think this is awesome. I'm generally not a big fan of when theme parks just copy and paste lands around the world, but I think what they're doing is they're taking some of the best things from around the world and kind of just picking here and there and adding it, as well as adding some new content that we haven't seen before. So I think this is going to work really well because a lot of people in the U.S. might have opportunity to go to Disney Tokyo or anything around the world. So, and Kevin, do you want to give a breakdown on what new lands or what might come?
Sure. So some of the attractions and lands that they talked about, the first one being is a clone of Tron Light Cycle Power Run, which we see at the Magic Kingdom and at Shanghai Disneyland. But also from Shanghai Disneyland, which is currently under construction, they talked about adding a Zootopia land as a part of this Disneyland expansion. Additionally, and I think that would be part of the California Adventure section. At Disneyland, Tokyo Disneyland currently is unveiling or in the process of opening. I'm not entirely sure because of the pandemic what the timelines are. A brand new Fantasyland expansion with a Beauty and the Beast ride, an Arendelle area, and a Tangled area. So I think those are all areas that we could see as a part of the Disneyland expansion. But the last part of the Disney California Adventure expansion was pretty interesting based on some people sleuthing through the concept art, and that was Wakanda, the Kingdom of Wakanda, which hasn't been seen anywhere. That's, of course, from the Black Panther movie. Hasn't been seen anywhere in any Disney park. That would be really interesting if they did unveil that.
Oh, yeah.
And it would be interesting because that would mean it would be in the same park as Avengers Campus. So we should see where that would go from there. But again, all of this is just speculation. This entire expansion could not happen. But ultimately, Frank, I would like to ask you, what do you think this means for the future of Disneyland?
I think it's going to look really bright. I think also all this stuff is going to open up in a snap like that. I could definitely see them doing what they kind of did with Disney's Hollywood Studios, where they open up a land at a time and just keep on flushing things out. I could totally see them doing that. But I think it's going to look really bright. It's going to open up so many job opportunities, so much. The value of this resort is going to go up so much. I do see a problem with parking just because of how far the parking is going to be away. People are going to have to walk a half a mile just to get into a park and walk another few miles around in the park each day. Yeah, there will be transportation, but how well are you going to be able to do that now that you have to go actually through Anaheim city blocks? That's going to be a big challenge. I think timeline, let's say this was greenlit tomorrow, I think we wouldn't see this for at least 10 years because you have to build the other parking lots, get all the construction ready, build all the lands, and then even though now until then we might see some of these lands change, new rides, and just tweaks about it. So
Now let me ask you this. We were talking about this earlier before we started filming this video. Why expand the existing theme parks and not add another one?
So yeah, that's a great question because I think one of the biggest things is just to add more value to the ticket. Obviously, Disney, it costs so much to get in there, but all these extra lands, what they could do is increase the price of the ticket, and it's obviously going to add more value to the ticket. I think it would kind of be cool to see another park, but I think also at the same time, it's going to be landlocked, and it's kind of... You only really have enough for a few different lands. I don't think you'll have enough room to have a brand new park. I think that also brings the question, Kevin, since we see this happening, do you think at Walt Disney World they're going to go a similar route and just kind of add more expansion and lands to the current parks? Or do you think they're going to open up a fifth gate at Walt Disney World because of Universal's Epic Universe also opening?
I think you can throw around the term of corporate synergy. And I think especially with Chapek in charge, what we see at Walt Disney World will tend to follow in line with what is happening at Disneyland. So I think what they are looking to do in the Parks Experiences and Products segment is maximize the value of every single transaction. And what I mean by that is whether it's at a Disney store, whether it's at a theme park, or whether it's at a hotel, you want to make sure that that guest feels like they are getting the most value for their dollar. And I think with that strategy, it just makes sense that we're not going to be seeing another theme park come to Walt Disney World anytime soon.
So Kevin, what are your final thoughts on this whole project?
I think it's really exciting. It's always exciting to see expansion come forward in the theme park industry, and Disney being a leader in the industry, I think there's always going to be expansion that follows the leader. So I couldn't be more excited that they're willing to invest in Disneyland, even though it's been closed for over a year. But I think the future is bright for them and our entire industry as a whole.
Yeah, I'm excited, but I don't want to get too excited because I don't want to get my hopes down in case it doesn't happen or things get changed or whatnot. But again, I think it's a great sign saying that, like, hey, theme parks we're going to bring them back, like, that they're so confident in their parks that they're even just willing to consider doing all this. So
absolutely,
I think it's great.
Well, let us know what you guys think. Are you excited about this expansion? When do you think it's going to open if it does get approved? Let us know in the comments below.
As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and listen to us on Apple and Spotify podcasts.
Thanks so much for listening and watching. We'll see you real soon.
Bye.
Bye. Discussing the recent announcement of the Disneyland Forward.
Oh gosh, I'm giving up.